You're watching Saki Chronicles.
I don't see how you can possibly rank it among your top 5.
Because it's a near-perfect original concept with a truly terrifying environment.
Well, I can't argue with that, but the graphics have aged like cheese, not to mention the gameplay.
Like you're one to talk. And either way, gameplay can literally be clicking a couple buttons and still be terrifying. Just ask any FNAF fan.
What are you guys arguing about now?
Flop Top over here has The Suffering as one of his top 5 best horror games of all time.
That's the prison one, right?
Yeah.
All I'm saying is that it's got one of the best intros to a video game I've ever seen, as well as some of the best voice acting.
Willie's bed isn't even cold yet, and already they brought in a new guy.
Too bad the sequel flopped harder than Sleepy here without his cane.
Go drink some bleach, you orange fool.
Well, speaking of prisons and terrible sequels, let's get started with Afterlife.
Damn it, that's right. This one is the prison one. I fucking hated this one.
That implies that there's one you don't hate.
Well, there's not, but this one pisses me off in a special way, which I'm sure we'll get to soon enough.
I know what you're talking about, Donnie, my thoughts exactly. However, unlike the last film where there was really no redeeming qualities to it, this one actually does have a couple positives, to be completely honest.
You can't be serious, Bear. Between all the shitty placed references, the massive green screen that is so obvious in every shot, or how 40% of this film is just slow motion action sequences, I can't see how you can find anything good.
Oh, Jesus, that's right. These slow-mo fights are so excessive that it's completely obvious they needed them to pad out the runtime. And yes, I know that they're in the past installments, but it's just so oversaturated with them that they leave a bad taste in the mouth, so to speak.
Oh, dear God!
So to reiterate, I can't see what you think is good, Barry, because the only plus that I can think of is that this is the first film in the saga to not have Mila just completely naked at any point.
I can't understand you, Joe.
Well, at this point in time, Paul and Mila were finally married.
We're married.
So most likely, like every marriage, the honeymoon phase was over and all the sex was gone.
Oof, I know the feeling.
The honeymoon phase was over for you the moment she saw your pudgy face, fat ass.
Like I'm gonna take lip from a dinosaur whose manhood shriveled up 1,000 years ago.
Shut up, the both of you. Now to get the good shit out of the way first. Yes, I will agree with Joe that the lack of gratuitous nudity of the protagonist is a plus. It became a drinking game by the time Extinction rolled around.
No shit.
One thing I'll say is that they finally took away Alice's powers. I mean, by this point, Alice was so fucking OP that she was literally earthbending. About time Daddy Wesker sapped out her shit like the Avatar.
What did you do to me?
I took away your
Powers.
You can't use it to hurt or threaten anyone else ever again.
Okay, fine, I will relent and say that the pacing is actually better. It's not fucking boring like Extinction was, that's for sure. But don't get me wrong, it's still fucking ridiculous, no joke. And the insults to the franchise still remain, like stains you can't get out of Donnie's pants.
Jesus Christ, Joe. Before you continue talking about Donnie's laundry, I would also like to say that seeing umbrella soldiers from another nation was interesting.
Of course you'd say that, you closet weeb.
No shit. The moment Japan showed up, everyone knew you were going to have quite the stiff opinion.
Fuck off, you guys. But since we're on the subject, let's go ahead and start up with how much more shit this saga continues to churn out, unapologetically. Because goddamn, they just go from 0 to 100 right at the start of the movie.
Yeah, like how after Alice does that shitty recap that's been at the beginning of the last 3 films, it states that 4 years have passed since the Raccoon City incident, but in Extinction, Alice was off the grid for 5 years.
She's been evading the satellite grid for years.
Desert must have taken it back. 5 years.
So which is it? Because she begins her assault on Umbrella Japan with the clones she finds in Extinction.
Attack of the Clones, baby! Like a master strategist, Alice sends all of her clones into the Japanese hive like ants. They slaughter everyone like fucking ninjas, actually using throwing stars and katanas, which makes me think that Alice was just being ironically racist with this attack.
Well, this film is so blatantly obvious in taking influence by Resident Evil 5 that maybe it's a correlation to Sheva in her tribal outfit.
That's stretching it, Bear. The only thing blatantly obvious in this entire scene is that he just wanted to see his wife in leather and make her act like Trinity from The Matrix. I mean, look at this shit. Now she can just defy physics.
It is pretty funny to think that they all had to go to Hot Topic and find the exact same 100 outfits.
Yeah, I gotta ask, how the fuck do these clones even know how to use these powers? Some were barely able to get through Isaac's stupid trials, and even then, they were killed by a shitty zombie. Plus, I thought that only the OG Alice had powers of that magnitude. That was the whole fucking point, right?
My sensors have detected a peak in psionic activity, both alpha and beta wave.
From number 87.
No, the activity is not from one of the clones. 45% probability that this is Project Alice.
Did it bother anyone else that she basically uses her clones like Duplicate from Invincible? Just fodder for bullets, every one of them?
Her altruism was always shoddy. First she cares.
You're gonna have to kill me. No.
Then she doesn't.
Hold it. You should take care of him now.
Then she argues about sacrifice to save millions.
Yeah, kill a few, save a lot.
And then she sacrifices her clones for her own vendetta so that she can safely hide on Wesker's escape aircraft. She flip-flops more than John Kerry did back in '04.
Well, since we're in full Alice swing and to be a bit controversial,
When are you not?
Alice in this is actually not the worst thing that happens.
Excuse me?
Granted, for some fucking reason, even without powers, Alice can survive an explosion and plane crash and then walk away without any real damage. It's as if the remnants of Anderson's plot armor had used the last of its magic to keep her safe one last time, like fucking Lily Potter. But probably the best scene in the film is when Alice gets her shit wrecked and the spotlight swaps over to Claire being the badass.
Before we even get into the legacy characters, we need to talk about the shitty ones first.
Oh, you mean the basketball star, the actress, the producer with his assistant, the mechanic, and Wendell? So basically the Hollywood elite. And Wendell?
A mechanic is Hollywood elite?
He was, back in 1972, baby.
Jesus, you're so old.
It never made sense to me how these guys managed to survive this entire time. How in the fuck does Luther or Angel, or any of them for that matter, still look so toned and fit after all these years inside of a fucking prison? And that goes for extra for their prisoner whom they never let out of his cell in 4 years, but we'll get to him later.
I agree. Each one of these people look like it's fucking day one of the apocalypse, let alone year 4. Yet they specifically say that they got there when everything happened.
When the shit hit the fan, we took refuge in the prison.
You got a point, Joe. The whole prison situation just raises too many questions, like how do they still have clean running water? What are they eating that hasn't spoiled yet? Why is Mr. Basketball still shaving his beard in a stylish way like an asshole?
No shit. Alice should be questioning these fuckers real hard about their food prep, because there may have been more survivors earlier that week.
Silent breed is people!
Well, it didn't matter anyways, since like we said, they're just fodder. Case in point, every single person in this fucking film that dies never accomplishes a single thing that helps the plot move forward. Wendell tries to sneak a peek at Alice, fucking dies by a sneaky zombie. Crystal takes a swim to help find the armory, fucking dies by a sneaky water zombie. The assistant pisses himself and won't go into a hole, fucking dies by a sneaky executioner from RE5. Even Angel dies without doing anything, because for some reason Kim Coates is too impatient. Which, by the way, Kim Coates, what the fuck are you doing in this movie? Did Sons of Anarchy not have enough zombies and charming for you?
What if you stopped asking questions?
Not gonna lie, that nosedive into those zombies was fire.
Since you mentioned it, Donnie, I want to talk about how Anderson, yet again, just copies shit from the games and pastes them into his movies with no shame at all, regardless if it makes sense.
Absolutely, Barry. Like how, for some reason, the zombies, as well as the dogs, have the Ouroboros virus. Yet there's no explanation for how or why. Daddy Wesker isn't even trying to destroy the world in this movie.
I'm not destroying the world. I'm saving it.
That also goes for the fucking executioner asshole that just seems to saunter up Beverly Hills to ultimately smash against the gate with the force of a 6-year-old smacking a piñata. Why is he even there? It made sense when he was in Kijuju getting fucked up like it was Silent Hill. But you can't make me believe he's getting the Pyramid Head treatment while he's walking around 90210 territory.
I want to point out that they actually try to use chess machines that Jill has in Resident Evil 5 in this, but instead of just one person having it and making them a hyper-elite badass, everyone has one, as if Umbrella was having a half-off sale at the Evil Corporation convention or something.
It's fucking stupid how easy it is to take them off. It takes zero effort for them to unattach from their host, as if just tickling them will do the trick.
Yeah, this piece of mind-controlling shit was hard as fuck to get off Jill, and to see it on Claire didn't feel right. I guess it makes people ravenous berserkers that wipes their memories, but also doesn't and makes them controlled and barking orders like Jill in the mid-credits.
Don't talk about Jill being in this movie. That mid-credits scene never fucking happened.
Yeah, that was a completely reasonable response. You do know that she's in retribution, right?
I am holding off as long as I can, so we're moving on.
It's not like it's Rebecca. But fine, you big baby, let's talk about Claire already. She finally gets to be a badass in here. Her biggest scene to show for it is where she gets to fight the misplaced executioner. However, it's literally dragged down with all that shitty slow motion that I couldn't even fully appreciate her in it. It fucking sucks.
I hate to say it, but I completely agree with Sleepy Joe. And what's even worse is that even though she displays a modicum of skill that's in her game counterparts, There's still the glaring issue of the amnesia subplot in the beginning that drags its slimy ass throughout the second act like Jabba the Hutt's asshole.
I don't even know my name. It's Claire.
It doesn't do anything but play into a single moment, which is so fucking dumb, it made me think that this was RE6. Actually, now that I think about it, the fact that amnesia happens to both Redfields in this and then in a game only 2 years later is quite the coincidence. Almost as if Capcom yet again used an Anderson film as an actual reference.
The whole thing is highly suspect.
All right, let's stop tiptoeing around the subject and get into the meat of it already. The biggest insult that's in this film is what they've done to Chris and Wesker. Finally, we get the OG of OGs, the face of the games, the Chris motherfucking Redfield. For some reason, he's been absent for half of this saga. Nobody ever mentioned him or even cared that he wasn't around.
Yeah, you're right, which is a huge fuck up for Claire in this. The entire time she's on screen, she never once mentions him. Even in Extinction, she gave no sign that she even thought of Chris, her own fucking brother, which is so fucking stupid because in the OG, it's all she fucking talks about.
I have to find my brother. Chris, I have to find you. Got to contact Leon and tell him to let my brother know he's being monitored.
Like, what the fuck? She's the leader of this convoy, and she never once decides to take it to see if she can find her brother? That could have been an absolute motivation for her.
As much as I would like to agree with you, there's no way she'd have taken those people to LA. Even after she suggests it, Carlos explains why.
Vegas. It's the only place we're sure to find gasoline and supplies.
Well, there's a reason for that. Vegas is too damn dangerous.
Yeah, that place is gonna be crawling to the son's bitches.
Then hop up on the nearest bike and go alone. What, is Alice the only one who can do solo missions for personal gratification? What a shitty sister. But then jump to Afterlife and they insert this fucking memory loss subplot just so they can have this stupid as fuck scene between her and Chris.
And who the fuck reaches out to their sister like that? I get that it was just so she can do that badass disarming move that's always in these scenes.
And I'll cut your fucking titties off.
Who's in charge here?
Admit I got you.
But trying to touch your sister's face is some Alabama type shit, not gonna lie.
Alabama!
First off, crashing your plane in a random spot in the middle of a zombie apocalypse, only to bump into a loved one you haven't seen in years. The odds of that are astronomical, yet where have I seen it before?
Leon?
Sherry?
It's like a Raccoon City reunion.
This shit happens twice in this franchise.
Wow! If I had a nickel for every time
a plane crashed randomly near a loved one,
I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice, right?
But the way they did Chris in this is so fucking terrible. They were obviously adapting him from 5, but he's a fucking shadow of his video game counterpart. They took away his survival experience, his fucking badge, and even worse, his goddamn guns.
Well, he was locked away in that cell, Don, so of course they took those away.
No, you idiot. His guns, his muscles, his fucking rock smashers. He went from this slab of chiseled marble to whatever the fuck this is. This is just a dude whose name is Chris.
Yeah, they did him so fucking dirty. Other than the fact that he has no back and forth with any characters, not Alice or even his own sister, because he's just a fucking set piece in this movie, but they also committed the worst cardinal sin. He has no vendetta against Wesker, because he was never a fucking STARS member.
So fucking stupid.
The worst.
You finally made the boy live action, and you ripped out his DNA. The very thing that makes him push on in this franchise. He has no connection to Jill, to Wesker, or even Raccoon City. In fact, he has no real reason to passionately hate Umbrella at all. Anderson actually took the very essence of Chris Redfield, and all that's left is this dude in some jail cell who's barely in this movie. As much shit that Apocalypse did to Jill, at least her character was left intact.
Agreed. They basically just turned him into Nemesis. A character by name, nothing more. And that fight scene with Wesker in the end? Fucking atrocious.
Fuck it, let's just rip this Band-Aid off right now. No offense to Sean Roberts, I know he did the best he could with what was given, but Wesker is an absolute lump in this. And before Joe says anything, I know he's in the later films too, but I want to focus on this one at the moment.
Fair enough.
It makes no sense to me how often his motivation changes. In Extinction, he wanted Project Alice to succeed.
Project Alice and the subject of domestication is of the highest priority.
Now he doesn't need that because apparently he is the ultimate weapon.
I'm what you used to be, only better.
But then the plane crashes and he injects himself with the virus and it gives him even more power.
The T-virus brought me back.
But yet it still isn't enough because he wants to consume Alice and be even more powerful.
I ingest you, I gain control.
You're right, he does jump around a lot. Plus, why should he even want to consume her when the antivirus he injected her with supposedly made her normal? What is there to even want?
All those powers of yours? Speed, strength, accelerated healing? Well, you can kiss all those goodbye.
And why the fuck should he even give two shits at that point when he's able to fucking teleport? Seems to me that he's hit peak evolution at that point.
I can't believe that I miss it when villains just wanted to take over the world, not throw all their resources in trying to beat up some middle-aged woman who likes to wear knee-high leather boots.
And the fight scene in the climax of this is so god-awful, like it's a stage play or something. It doesn't help that it's supposed to be a shot-for-shot remake of the 1 in 5, but for fuck's sake, it's like watching puppets fight each other. And good lord, those fucking dogs look awful. I mean, granted, they weren't great looking in the game, but at least they didn't look like a toothy slab of floppy meat.
And why are they always fucking Dobermans?
Anybody else think it was hilarious how Wesker says,
Chris and Claire Redfield, you've really become quite an inconvenience for me.
How the fuck does Wesker even know who Chris is? He's been in that prison cell this entire time. Hell, his own sister completely forgot he existed until about 2 hours ago. Those lines make absolutely no sense now. The impact is gone.
And that still isn't the worst, which y'all know what is.
Fucking Ouroboros Wesker.
Look what the fuck they did. Who okayed this? Did nobody play a single moment of the game that they wanted to adapt from?
It's so bad I can't even look at it anymore.
The amount of balls you have to green light this shit is actually impressive. I am surprised that Capcom didn't simply slap Constantine with a cease and desist on this image alone.
He doesn't even do anything when he reveals this either. He just stupidly reaches out to Alice a couple times and easily gets headshot in the process. Like, can't this motherfucker teleport? We saw it a couple minutes ago. Just fucking do that. That's why he's such a pain to fight in the game.
Okay guys, we've talked way more than what's needed for this shit. To be honest, even with the amount of good that this film actually had, and to be fair, there was some, I am still gonna say D tier, the terrible green screen shots, the slow motion to obviously pad the runtime, and some blank side characters were not enough to rank this into C, and that's not even considering what they did to the legacy characters. Even Joe's defense for Apocalypse can't work for this. It's such a dismal mess, especially since both Wesker and Chris apparently were never STARS members to begin with.
It's not even worth arguing, Bear. It's deserved. And we haven't even mentioned Arcadia.
Fuck, that's right.
Oh yeah, you mean the plot of how a militaristic enemy uses a radio broadcast to lure in people in order to capture them in a zombie apocalypse? Gee, I wonder where I had seen that before.
The answer to infection is here.
I moved us from the blockade, I set the radio broadcasting, and I promised them women.
I'm in agreeance with D tier. I mean, I was there around the time that they showed the chess machines can just be taken off like leeches. But if I'm being completely honest, it's higher than extinction easily. So high D.
Done. Now there's still some things in this we haven't covered, so let's just do another lightning round before launching into Retribution.
Okay, ignoring the fact that they couldn't possibly make it to Alaska all the way from Vegas in that shitty chopper with open doors and children and shit, how come the ocean tide hadn't just swept that fucking thing away? Or buried it more into the sand at least? It's been on the beach for what seems like weeks.
I hated that the Alice clones use grappling hooks like Leon does in RE4. I mean, I know it's not the same hooks, but I also know that they got the idea from the game.
Throwing that grenade on the elevator roof will still kill your friends, you asshole. That was just fucking stupid.
When they capture everyone on that beach, they obviously slap the chest scarabs on the outside of their clothes. However, when they show all the captured people later, the machines are on the outside of their new white uniforms. This implies that they had to take them off once just to put them right back on, instead of just on their skins in the first place. Inefficient and stupid. Wesker would not approve.
Oh, speaking of the kidnapped people, first when Chris and Claire get captured for like 10 seconds, Alice brings them back with the shitty tablet and it shows their pictures. When did they take those? They even look like they posed for them like this was the Squid Games. And secondly, Claire and Alice are so focused on saving Kmart that I find it hilarious they just completely forget about the other kids. What the fuck even happened to those kids? Jesus, Claire is the worst leader.
Luther being taken by that zombie in the tunnels felt like a small nod to when Dallas gets taken by the xenomorph in the first Alien movie. I only mention this because Paul Anderson directed Alien vs. Predator, which actually wasn't that bad.
Oh, speaking of actual good films he directed, at the end when Alice seems to have switched that bomb in Wesker's helicopter and he sees it hidden among the cargo, that's an obvious nod to Event Horizon.
And then Alice gathers all her new friends to look at the explosion like it's a fucking fireworks show.
I didn't want you to miss that.
Now, as shitty as the movie is, I know the actors actually wanted to do well. Wentworth Miller was only given 3 weeks to prepare for his role as Chris, but since he never played the games, he could only do so much. The same goes for Sean Roberts, too, who actually did play Resident Evil 5 and has been a fan since the OG. The guy was excited to play as Wesker, and he wanted to do it right.
Can't blame the actor for doing their job, of course.
We never did talk about how his voice changes from American in Extinction to somewhat British in Afterlife.
The research will continue under my personal supervision.
Hurts, doesn't it? Well, that's just the start of the bad news.
Well, they do that in the games, too, so I can't fault them for following the formula.
Chris, you make me proud. But of course you are one of my men.
Don't you two ever tire of failing in your mission?
But good news, boys, we're over the hill and almost done. So let's get right on to Retribution.
This is the fucking simulation one, right? The whole thing is some kind of umbrella facility in Russia or something?
Yeah, just multiple different biodomes with an actual assembly line of clones just to make shitty simulations for God knows what.
They explain in the film that it's because Umbrella was literally selling the virus to different countries and shit, showing them how effective it is against their enemies.
Simulated an outbreak, showed it to the Russians, and sold them the virus.
Completely ironic when a couple movies ago, they didn't like the fact that they had to sit underground while the world was fucking dead.
We're getting ahead of ourselves, guys. First things first, this fucking opening is by far the worst thing I've ever seen. We all know that these movies just barely make it over the 90-minute mark, and that they need to pad out their runtime to get to that point. But holy Jesus, this shit was excessive. For over 7 minutes, you have to watch what happened at the end of Afterlife, not only in slow motion, but also fucking backwards. And I am more convinced than God that they only did that because of the Dead Island opening, which came out the year before. Then, after yet another long-winded recap that just says the same shit over and over again, they press play and show us what we already saw.
Yeah, Bear, you're definitely not angry about this.
No, I get it. It feels like a complete waste of time, just like rescuing all those people from that cruise ship. What was the fucking point if Umbrella was just going to kill them all anyways?
If I could, I would slap this fucking thing into an F tier just on that alone, but we all fucking know that.
There is no such thing as an F tier.
There's no such thing as Chris Redfield or Kmart either, because these motherfuckers just bounce after this. Are they dead? Who the fuck knows? All that shit about Alice trying to rescue her doesn't matter.
I completely agree with you both that the opening scene sucks more than Umbrella Corps, but we need to move on.
You're right, Don. Normally we'd go through the pros and cons first, but for God's sake, this one has none. We're back to Extinction quality, where everything is boring with shitty characters. The only thing that makes it worse is all the legacy ones are just garbage caricatures of themselves. And the sheer amount that are in here makes it look like they're at some kind of comic convention.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Bringing Michelle Rodriguez and Colin Salmon back was just insulting and did zero fan service for me, especially since they were mindless drones. Same with Carlos. But hey, at least he got to be a dad for some reason to fulfill some kind of Alice fantasy. I mean, I get how Umbrella has Alice's DNA to make more clones, but how did they get Carlos's?
To be honest, all the different biodomes are too confusing. Alice wakes up in some suburban house, but then dies because she's
inside a simulation.
But then the real Alice wakes up and enters the streets of Japan, but that too was just
another giant simulation.
But the people walking around Alice don't seem to notice her. However, the zombies themselves are real. And why recreate the exact events that kicked off Afterlife? I don't get it. Does this mean what happened in Japan wasn't real?
His fucking brain melted.
It's all real, Joe. All the people and zombies and creatures are real, literally manufactured by Umbrella at this point. Conveyor belt and all. It's all so fucking dumb.
Not nearly as dumb as Wesker sending in a strike team consisting of some fodder, Leon Kennedy, Barry fucking Burton, and the most important kick-ass zombie killer of all, Luther West.
Jesus, why?
Do you even need to ask? Just the sentence. The basketball star is on the strike team for a rescue mission to Russia is so fucking outlandish. It's like if LeBron James was in SEAL Team 6. How did they even think that he could keep up with Leon and Barry?
A worn-out LeBron James.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
Yet again, this dude did nothing. The only interesting thing about him was his death. Real heart stopper, that is.
As stupid as Luther being with that team is, it's still nothing compared to the absolute filthiness they slapped onto Barry fucking Burton. The man finally gets on the big screen, but in the worst way.
Not like this.
Obviously, I agree with Joe. As much as I wanted to see him, I didn't want this. Like Chris, he was never a STARS member. In fact, the real Barry Burton would never do anything Wesker tells him to do.
Thank you, Barry.
After the Spencer Mansion, of course.
He brings his little buddy, thank God, and he at least looks like Barry. But then they actually have Carlos kill him off. with Jill fucking Valentine standing right fucking there.
What the actual fuck?
How the hell is Capcom okay with this shit? It's so stupid.
Well, maybe it is stupid, but it's also dumb.
Nintendo would never allow such insulting shit to happen to their characters.
Regardless, it happened, but thankfully it didn't happen to Leon. However, he really isn't much better in this either. Yet another OG boy that, for some reason, trusts Wesker. He and Barry are thrown into this as basically the B plot to get Alice out of there.
I would like to revisit that B plot later. But yes, this Leon S. Kennedy is that by name only, and he should barely have that too. He's such a set piece in this movie that he literally takes a back seat to it. I see what you did there, Paul, you cheeky bastard.
No shit. The only thing this guy has that resembles Leon is his fucking outfit and hair, and they didn't even get that 100% correct. Did nobody in wardrobe have this guy shave? He looks like one of those generic models on the front of a romance book, for Christ's sake.
His actual personality is harsh and cold, which is just not true. 2 times he makes some comments that contradict his game counterpart. Once about Alice.
But I don't think I would have risked so much for one person.
And again when it comes to that little girl.
You're more important than she is.
This is not what the real Leon would say.
Got that right.
First off, that man went through hell and back in order to rescue a single person. It's literally the entirety of Resident Evil 4. And not once did he question or regret it.
What's going on?
Don't worry, Ashley. I'm coming for you.
In fact, even the OG back in '98 was more caring than this asshole.
As an officer, it's my job to look out for you.
And since when did Leon not give a shit about a little girl? Because I know a certain Birkin that would beg to differ on that.
Leon's not just anyone.
He cares for Sherry. He never told Claire to fuck off and leave her. The way he's portrayed in here is completely wrong and is made to have Alice be the better person. She's the best driver, the best fighter, and now the best hero than Capcom's #1 money-making government agent.
Story of my life.
No joke, it's tragic the way they show him in this. Plus his relationship with Ada is more bland than the entire script for the OG.
You're right.
Only twice is Ada mentioned to Leon, and then they have what looks like a touching reunion at the finale, but Jesus, it's just 2 planks of wood rubbing against each other.
Fucking wasted garbage.
I call it bold and brash. More like belongs in the trash.
And since we've mentioned Ada so much, let's just move on to her already. Just like the others, that's as far as it goes. Just slap the proper garments on her and let her go.
Well, if it isn't the bitch in the red dress.
And of course her intro into the film is going to be a near shot-for-shot fight scene from RE4 with Alice. Cringe to see Alice take the part of Leon in this, not gonna lie.
How dare you stand where he stood?
I just love it how when the desks rise from their underground lairs or whatever inefficient thing they got going on here, they're all fucking dead. And it's basically shown that Our Lady in Red is the one who killed them all. But they were probably just the receptionists, so no harm, no foul.
So that's why nobody is answering the phones.
Ada in this is just like Leon, another body that shadows Alice around. And yeah, I get that she's supposed to escort her to the extraction point, but I didn't understand that. Wesker says that no one has ever escaped and will need the strike team to help rescue her, mainly because of the ice.
No one has ever escaped from this facility.
Ice.
You'll need all the help you can get. So I've arranged for a strike team.
So how did Ada get in there? And why not just use the very way she came in to escape? Why even use the strike team at all when Ada should be more than enough to get one single person who can apparently take on 3 dozen zombies in a tight corridor with nothing but a lightning hawk and a bike chain?
Because this Ada is inept, Barry. She's shown to have style and skill, but then when it comes to fighting the executioners, she's crawling backwards like a final girl in some slasher movie. Yeah, sure, she can kill some faceless baddies. But then afterwards, she simply disappears for 50% of this movie, just to end up captured by Jill and used as the typical hostage bait. Then she's knocked out and boom, we're done with her.
Not to mention her using the hook shot against that soldier didn't have the same zing to it as it did in the OG. Plus, if she had that the whole time, then why the fuck didn't she use it to get away from the executioner earlier?
I also wanted to point out the stupidest scene in the film. She's outside shooting them and sees them fire that rocket. Runs back inside, grabs a gun, begins to shoot the floorboards in a circle and fall through, right before it explodes. God fucking damn it, Umbrella. Step up your game, because that was the slowest firing rocket in history.
Also, it's a total ripoff of Underworld.
Dear God, we haven't even talked about the liquor, or the Red Queen, or even fucking Jill Valentine. This movie is so convoluted and trash that it makes the first one feel like a Christopher Nolan epic.
Oh right, the fucking liquor. I am so tired of them using liquors. There are other BOWs, you know. I'd love to see a Hunter, or Mr. X, or even those fucking Bandersnatches. But no, we still got to use liquors, and of course it had to be bigger with 2 fucking tongues.
For double the pleasure, Joe, obviously. And why the fuck does it capture the little girl? What's the fucking point? And then it puts her in an egg. What the fucking fuck, Anderson? First you direct a VP, then you recreate the Dallas capture scene with Luther. And now this?
Yeah, that shit right there nearly made me go Republican. Fucking eggs? Since when do lickers do that? And fucking how?
I don't know, nor do I want to. As much as I didn't care for Leon's personality in this, he was right, and I didn't give two shits about that little girl. It made no sense to me why Alice would care. She wasn't her real daughter. She's literally manufactured inside an Umbrella facility.
All these feelings she has for you, they were imprinted. A day ago, she was a blank slate. I could show you a dozen, just like her, in cold storage.
Alice sacrificing everyone's safety for this little fake girl is basically WandaVision. I don't care what anyone says, Barry could have been saved if Alice didn't fucking care.
I'm going to get her.
I didn't lose this many friends so you could just walk away.
And since when does the real Alice know sign language?
They needed some kind of reason for Alice to care, but I guess just having regular Michelle Rodriguez walking around wasn't good enough.
Oh, Michelle, why the fuck are you in this film? Is Fast and the Furious not paying you enough?
I would like to amend my earlier statement saying that there's nothing good in this film. If I'm being completely honest, Michelle kicking the shit out of Leon and Luther, and even Alice herself was actually really cool to watch.
I'm with you on that, Bear. I just didn't like the way they did it. A fucking plaga. Just a regular one? Regular ganados can be killed easily with the basic plaga they ingest. It takes a much more powerful one to do what Sadler does.
Oh, right, the whole palm slam and the shit with the bullets. Yeah, they packaged her to be just like Sadler, but I would also like to ask, how is she so efficient in combat when the other copy was not? Her hand-to-hand is even better than Alice, but the plaga doesn't do that to you. Ask any shitty ganado.
It could probably be explained that the Red Queen uploads combat skills into them during production, just like the fucking Matrix. But who cares? This entire movie is just a rehash of the first film.
How so?
An Umbrella facility locked down by the Red Queen is infiltrated by a special strike team. There's some time limit to when they need to reach the surface, and they're hunted by a single licker, and it has both Michelle Rodriguez and Colin Salmon. And Michelle is eaten by zombies again. It's basically the same movie, but with way more action and less story. Oh, and Alice wakes up.
The Red Queen got an upgrade to her looks, though.
Do I even need to say anything at this point?
What, I can't mention her noticeable updated form?
Joe, don't say form when you're talking about kids.
Fuck you guys.
But yeah, she somehow looks more creepy in this than she did last time.
You're all going to die down here.
I've heard that before.
Yep, same movie.
Point, Bear. One of the things that this film suffers from is its overabundance of villains. We have the Red Queen, the Licker, Michelle, and lastly, Jill fucking Valentine.
About time we came to her.
Gross, Joe.
First off, I am glad they got Sienna Guillory to reprise her role, but damn it, if you never played the game, then you'd have no fucking idea as to why or how she's there. It won't explain how or why she was caught by Umbrella, how she became an MMA fighter on crack, and why her hair is now suddenly blonde.
To be fair, Joe, a couple of those aren't answered in the games either, and Umbrella never captures her. Wesker does. And it was really, more or less, to torment Chris.
Have fun watching Jill suffer.
That's why most of the things they make Wesker say in Afterlife make zero sense.
Isn't this one big family reunion?
In this, Jill is pushed down to being the generic bad guy, almost completely robotic in a way. I mean, in the beginning, she's literally shut down when the facility is infiltrated. And she asks the same questions over and over like she's been put on repeat.
Why did you turn against Umbrella? Why did you turn against Umbrella? Who do you work for? Who do you work for?
Taking Wesker out of the equation just to have Jill become the main antagonist was a terrible decision. It's almost as if someone was like, what if we have Alice fight mind-control Jill? So they put Alice in some matching outfit.
And we all know why.
And what's with the S&M? Get up. Long story.
And threw them together like this was the deadliest warrior or something.
Were we supposed to think that this was some kind of Darth Maul moment when she pulled out that staff and it spiked out at the end? Because I cringed more at that than I did when Kylo Ren unleashed his lightsaber hilt.
A spear would have been more efficient, especially when Alice just uses ice axes. And good Lord, does this fight last longer than it should have, especially since you know that Alice, of all people, knew how to defeat her in 5 seconds.
Just pull off the chest crab?
Just pull off the fucking chest crab! Jesus! You did it for Claire and for Kmart in Afterlife. And it's not like it's embedded in there very hard. The damn thing slips right off like a wedding ring in a brothel.
And then the fucking thing gets up and rushes at them like the scarabs in The Mummy. What the fuck? Can these things just do that? Then why not just have a fuck ton of them rush out of everywhere and attach themselves to the others? In fact, instead of interrogating Alice, just slap that shit on her and boom. Now you have her under your command.
I don't know, Joe, and neither does anyone else. I'm amazed that this thing actually was released in theaters and wasn't just straight to video. This quality is bottom of the bargain bin at your local 7-Eleven. And we haven't even said anything about Wesker or the fucking ending.
The last 2 minutes of this film is the biggest fridge nuking I've ever seen in my life. Not only is DC under the undead siege, because of course it is, but motherfucking Discount Wesker is just relaxing in my fucking office, sitting in my fucking chair, probably going through my secret stash.
Nah, I had that thrown out.
You what?
It was starting to smell.
You asshole!
And then he explains that the world needs her help, so he zooms over and hits her with that sweet, sweet T-virus in order to give her back her powers.
Well, now I have need of you, the old you. So I've given you back your gift.
All because of this enemy of my enemy bullshit that Wesker is spouting.
And the enemy of my enemy is my friend. So Alice is actually my friend.
Not that it's going to matter anyways. I can't even fathom the mountains of coke that must have been consumed to make this script. This is some of the worst shit I've ever seen, and all I can fucking think of is how it deserves to be ranked at lower than D. It doesn't deserve to be near the others, even though they were shit too.
Holy shit!
I hate it when he does that shit. Appearing and disappearing like a fucking cosmic entity.
Release us already!
Shut up, guys. Look at it. It's so bad that he's broke his own rule and made an actual F tier.
But at what cost, Barry? This shit ain't for free, I can just feel it.
Fuck if I know. I'm not looking this gift horse in the mouth, so we're slapping this shit into F and moving on. Objections?
No.
Not at all.
Good. Let's just get through the lightning round so we can get started on the last of these fucking obvious tax write-offs. I'll start us off with the scene where Jill is holding Alice's face and then the treads just turn on by themselves. Did Jill do that? Does she have telekinesis now too? Or did the Red Queen turn it on for her? In which case, why did it even allow them to get that far?
Yeah, that didn't make sense to me either, but speaking of that whole fight sequence, in the stupid scene where Luther dies, it shows that Alice is sad about it. But technically, she only knew the guy for about 5 hours in Afterlife. She knew Chris for just as long, yet she's not shedding any tears for him.
She ain't missing me most of all, is she?
I was confused about Michelle's clone or whatever. Like, how come her normal clone can't shoot a gun, but her other one is a super badass, even though it shows that they're all from the same stock?
No, I don't think you understand. I marched against the NRA.
Congratulations. You're officially a badass.
And why the fuck do they constantly manufacture that Becky girl to be deaf? Like, what's the point of that? And is Becky just short for Rebecca?
And don't call me little girl.
Fuck you, Joe. You're not making that connection.
Well, somebody obviously tried, but also I love that Michelle gets T-boned because of course she does in a zombie flick.
How about the scene where Alice and Ada are standing next to the car, and there's gas everywhere, so they just shoot the gas tank to make it blow up and kill those two executioners. That car was 2 feet in front of them. How the fuck do they survive that? Alice doesn't have a fucking blanket like an apocalypse.
I never noticed this before, and I can't unsee it now, but if you take Hunk's mask and put it on Wesker's sick-ass drip, you get the NCR Ranger, which is what all of these fucking minions looked like whenever they were on screen.
You want to talk about something you can't unsee? In the screen next to Wesker's face when he's talking, it shows that the actual structure of the T-virus is a literal letter T. Like this is fucking Sesame Street or something.
Well, that's it. I can't top that fucking horrendous sight. Let's finish this shit with the final chapter. Finally, we're on the last movie. We're almost done.
I don't know, Barry. Something feels off about how easy it was to get that F tier.
Gift horse, Donnie. Gift horse. Look away.
Well, I like it. We could have used it for the characters, that's for sure.
Well, I still don't trust it, but whatever. Let's get this final one over with.
Right, the final chapter. The worst fucking one.
This is the one where they just retconned everything, right?
That's right, Joe. I hope neither one of you were too attached to anyone whose name isn't Alice, because they're all pretty much gone. Forever.
See, I told you nothing mattered in this fucking franchise.
Well, Claire is still around.
That's true, but it's not like it's a big shock that she came back. So far, other than Alice, Claire is the second most used protagonist in this series. It's just too bad that, yet again, they didn't really do jack shit with her character. But before we get into the characters one last time, I just want to do a quick rundown of all the things that were completely thrown out or changed in this last film. First, where the fuck is Becky? You know, the little girl that Alice had sacrificed Barry for? She gives no indication of her existence, nor does she seem to care that she's gone. Poof.
Long story.
Oh yeah, not to mention where the hell Leon, Jill, and Ada went to as well. Are they dead? Did they just bounce? Just what the fuck happened between this movie and the last one? By the looks of it, only a few hours have passed.
The amount of forgotten plot lines, let alone whole characters, that were left on the wayside makes Game of Thrones seem tame. This shit is ridiculous. For instance, remember that Daddy Wesker injected the T-virus back into Alice. We actually saw it happen too. The little bastards attaching themselves like the invasive little shits that they are. And yet the very next day, the new Red Queen tells Alice that Wesker literally pretended to inject her.
He pretended to give you your powers back.
The whole giving her powers back was just a little kid game in the end.
Oh man, we didn't even mention the Red Queen either. Now, I know that earlier I had mentioned that Ashford created the Red Queen and it was to mimic his daughter Angela. But you know what? I'm going to stand by what I said. Yes, technically Kaplan said the head programmer.
It's modeled after the head programmer's daughter.
And Charles was obviously a virologist. But hindsight is 20/20. And at the time Apocalypse was released, I am sure tons of people thought the same thing, especially since it was 12 years between films.
12 years of it!
I mean, come on. His little girl has the same accent as the Red Queen, not to mention the look is very similar as well. How many other little girls have British accents and live in Raccoon City?
It's all right, Bear. None of us are here to crucify you. Besides, it doesn't matter anyways, since they completely retcon how the Red Queen and even the T-virus itself was created. Because now it was Dr. James Marcus who did it, and not Charles Ashford. And for the exact same reason, too, to help his little girl with some disease.
It's almost as if in order to become a higher up in Umbrella, you have to have a daughter with an illness of some sort.
It's hard for me to take anything seriously in this when the actual writer doesn't. Almost every decision he makes is being changed in the last film. It's amazing it was ever green lit.
All right, let's try to get back on track. First off, there are no positives in this movie, and I really tried to look for some. The direction the plot takes is such a hard 180 from the literal last scene of Retribution, it almost broke my neck.
Right, so she stumbles upon the Red Queen, and now after only knowing her for being
a homicidal bitch,
she's somehow changed from all of her previous film iterations. So she's going to betray her Umbrella creators because there's exactly how many humans left alive on the planet, Queenie?
My satellites show there are 4,472 humans remaining on the surface of the Earth.
Well, I guess maybe killing some to save the fucking planet isn't so bad now, right, Alice? Seeing as how you didn't seem to give two fucks about your friends dying in the last film.
So now she has 48 hours to go all the way back to Raccoon City before the last of them die, I guess.
That's called a ticking clock. Works great in the movies.
In order to get the very last vial of the antivirus deep within the hive, because, get this, if she breaks it up on the surface, it will magically cure the entire world of anything infected with the virus.
Yet another continuity error. If Umbrella really had this vial that could save the entire planet in a literal second, then what the fucking fuck were all those board members pissy about back in Extinction?
Food supplies down to 28%, 17 casualties, biohazard numbers increasing. We're to be trapped underground for decades?
After months of experiments, you have nothing to show, and we are left to rot underground.
Not to mention that smashing it on the ground to kill zombies by the scorers is just ripping off another Capcom property.
At least we don't have to wait the full 48 hours since Alice gets fucking knocked out so much that it shortens the time for us.
Oh, like how after she copies that obvious fight scene from the Book of Eli, she uses her fucking thumbprint on an Umbrella-owned bike and doesn't think she'll get fucked up.
Right, and then she gets picked up by motherfucking Dr. Isaacs once more. Because this movie can't come up with good villains, so it has to continually reuse the same ones over and over.
It's good to see you too.
Can't the same thing be said about the games and all the times they used my best boy Wesker?
Interesting. At least they used him correctly, but we'll get into him and Isaacs later. Because what they do to Wesker in this film is borderline criminal.
Fine, let's get into the characters. The fodder that Alice runs into later is so bland and forgettable that I didn't even know when one of them had actually died. Seriously, with the exception of Doc, can you even name the others? One of them had only one line of dialogue before being killed like Hodor.
What are we gonna do?
5 minutes later.
I mean, at least they brought Claire back for one last time with a shitty explanation as to where she was for the entirety of Retribution.
Umbrella captured me at the Arcadia. We were headed somewhere called the Hive. Got loose, killed the pilot, crashed here.
I don't know what the fuck they did to her in this film, but it's almost like she isn't the same person we saw back in Afterlife.
Maybe she's a clone too. I mean, there's a part where she talks about the Red Queen, but how the fuck does she know what the Red Queen even is? She was never even mentioned in Extinction, nor in Afterlife.
Umbrella developed a cure. Who told you this? The Red Queen. And you believed her?
I have no idea, but she doesn't seem like the same badass we saw. I mean, yes, she breaks out of that cage by lighting gunpowder and blocking it with her foot, which I am still sure would hurt like a son of a bitch. But then she tries to stop Alice from sacrificing herself to save the fucking planet.
Alice, you can't. I don't have a choice. There has to be another way.
Like that is some classic Redfield logic right there.
Millions will die.
Oh, yeah, but
I'm all right.
Speaking of Chris, yet again, she doesn't even give a fuck that he's gone. Not that she really gave a shit about him in Afterlife. I mean, it's not like he's your fucking bloodline or anything.
Don't you worry about that bloodline, Joe, because she's been busy with Doc here.
You know, he and I
noticed.
Everybody got that?
Damn. Sorry, Leon.
Women.
Oh, goody. The bloodline is saved by some nobody that was only added for a stupid twist that even Ray Charles can see coming.
Claire would be so disappointed.
In a few minutes, Claire will be dead. Along with everybody else, you know.
That's sweet.
You're right. And it's all because of this stupid one of you is the traitor subplot that I completely forgot about halfway through.
That Umbrella had an informant in Raccoon City. This person is now here with you.
And come on, let's be honest, by the time the third act starts, if you weren't an already established character, you were obviously the traitor. Alice even remarks on it.
How did you know it was me?
You're still alive.
It's just wasteful to see what happened to Claire in this. Just like everyone else, she was another set piece. But what are we to expect from the movie that literally states in the first 5 minutes that?
This is my story.
Everybody got that?
It's almost like Anderson was talking right at the true fans of the games, and to prove it, he just completely demolishes the only other known character in the franchise. So we may as well talk about our boy Wesker.
Fuck! This Wesker is such a fuck up that it wouldn't surprise me if he was that paper jam dipper in Gravity Falls.
Hey, buddy, hey, it's okay.
First off, remember how in the last film, Ada specifically states that they don't work for Umbrella anymore?
I don't work for Umbrella anymore, and neither does Albert Wesker.
But Wesker is still an employee.
I don't have to take your orders. My loyalties are with him.
So that was a fucking lie.
Because now he's just a fucking lapdog to Isaac's so far as to literally be his bitch and everything.
Don't forget who you're talking to.
He's the one who kills Dr. Marcus, like this was the Mafia.
The gabagool.
Technically, that's actually canon.
Technically, Wesker didn't pull the trigger, those Spec Op boys did. He and Birkin just saunter in like the actual pimps they are.
Oh, time to die, Doctor.
When told that Alice is alive, he stands there with a look that I never wanted to see on Wesker's face, just dumbfounded.
Impossible. How can that be?
What the fuck happened to this guy? Where was the guy from the last 3 movies that was diabolical and murderous?
We kind of get a glimpse of that when he uses the giant fan to kill one of them.
You mean the fan he turns on but then turns back off just so they can catch their breath? Yeah, that's some real mastermind shit right there.
No shit. This dude just takes orders from Isaacs like he worked at McDonald's.
Welcome to McDonald's. May I take your order?
And let's not forget the true crime of this fucking movie, how they finally killed him off.
That's right, there are 3 just terrible scenes with our boy. Because the Red Queen can't harm any Umbrella personnel, she can't stop Isaacs from destroying the world.
My programming will not allow me to harm an employee of the Umbrella Corporation. I am powerless to stop Dr. Isaacs, but you are not.
But Wesker is just an employee, so Anderson just completely rips off RoboCop's villain ending for him.
Albert Wesker, you're fired.
Dick, you're fired!
Then they have him literally on the floor, whimpering, begging for his life. What the actual fuck?
Help me.
Even hip deep in lava, the real Wesker would never beg.
And then Alice gives him that fucking grenade to hold on to while he dies. It again blatantly ripping off another film, but this time it's The Punisher.
If you keep this trigger depressed, you keep Umbrella's dreams alive.
Try holding it with an outstretched arm. Hell of a workout.
Fucking tragic. He didn't deserve to be pushed into the back seat of this franchise that had him as the big bad for so many of its films. And again, what the fuck happened between this and Retribution? His entire plan was to bring Alice to DC so he could give her back her powers because...
Well, now I have need of you. The old you. So I've given you back your gift.
Then they all stand up on that roof like this was the end of A New Hope. And then bam, it was all a fucking fever dream.
It's obvious that they didn't want Wesker to be the final boss, but to make it be Isaacs. The guy who was already killed 3 films ago just doesn't sit right with me. Not to mention that the entire reason for why Isaacs even did what he did was basically stolen from the RE5 Wesker in the first place.
Unchecked population growth will overtake food production in less than 50 years, leading to famine. I propose that we end the world, but on our terms. The T-virus.
Every day, humans come one step closer to self-destruction. I'm not destroying the world, I'm saving it.
What the fuck? Just fucking use Wesker then.
This is new levels of fan fiction that should never have been reached.
Right, the old overpopulation, diminishing resources, humans killing humans plot. It's a popular topic in sci-fi films, but I think another series did it better.
Too many mouths, not enough to go around. And when we faced extinction, I offered a solution.
Genocide.
If I'm not mistaken, he actually has a board meeting to get permission to do this. And for some reason, it was decided that this was a good idea, not to mention who the big boss is that allows it to go through.
We'll get into that later, Donnie.
Umbrella's cloning technology makes those idiots at Jurassic Park look like fucking babies where they speak and spell. Because I guess Isaacs was another fucking clone now? Or the one back in extinction was? Again, it doesn't matter, since apparently it was his idea all along to have an outbreak and destroy the entire world so that humanity can be saved.
That kind of shit just screams continuity error. So is Spence infecting the nest in the first film canon anymore? Was he still trying to do it just for the money? Or was it because Umbrella's board of directors told him to? I can't even figure out what the real reasons for anything are anymore.
Who gives a fuck? Look, the point is that even the Bible-thumping Isaacs isn't the real one. Because the real one is brought back from cryo. And he has powers like Wesker, as well as a fucking thing that can predict what will happen in certain circumstances. And I thought the detective vision shit that Ada has was ridiculous. We're reaching levels of stupid science fiction that shouldn't be possible.
Yeah, like what the fuck is that shit? Can he just see everything that she's going to do before she does it? Based on what? Is that some cybernetic implant? Is he linked up with the Umbrella mainframe? Because it can't possibly be the virus. They never really explain it. And I swear to God, if this is their way of explaining the way Wesker dodges bullets and shit, I'd rather eat that whole plate of the baker's shitty dinner.
Shit, he's not eating it, Jack! He's not eating it! Get the hell up, Marguerite!
Can you get me a plate too? Because even though this fucker is supposed to be the ultimate baddie, he still has to bring out Anderson's ultimate weapon. The fucking
laser room.
And of course he makes her do all sorts of jumps and shit instead of just, you know, starting the thing on hard mode like he did for all the other clones in Extinction and making the lasers start with the diamond pattern.
If you had that move, that should have been move number 1.
At least she finally gets some fucking permanent damage done to her. Losing her fingers to the lasers was dope as fuck, but then of course she takes it like the true Mary Sue she is. Unlike our other boy from the first film.
Stay conscious. You're going into shock. Stay awake!
Side note, on those guys, did you all like it when apparently they're shown to have left their important bags there? All those extra guns, ammo, and C4? So then all those scenes with them struggling to survive while trying to leave is really just on them for forgetting their fucking equipment? I mean, I get Kaplan forgetting, but Rain?
Well,
Rain
kind of forgot about
equipment.
Bottom line is that these new versions of Isaac kind of suck. I mean, they both can kick the shit out of Alice in hand to hand.
Which was weird because the first one couldn't do shit without being injected.
But then the OG can just be blown to bits by a simple grenade if he's not paying attention. However, it doesn't even really matter.
Much like this series.
Because he can literally just reboot himself back to life.
Just in time to get stabbed to death by the fanatic for saying something stupid to him like, I am the original.
No, that's not possible. The real you.
You know, for a guy with predictive cognition, he didn't see that coming.
I'm me. He's not me.
I guess not. Let's finish up this pile of trash with Alice and the fucking terrible twist ending. We're almost done here.
Well, she's still the same old Alice with the same old plot armor. Whenever she finds a group of survivors, they're either people from the games, people she knows personally, or both. So, of course, when she arrives into the ruins of Raccoon City, she'd bump right into Claire and suddenly becomes a fucking siege commander. Seriously, she even has catapults and marks targets onto the streets like this was Kingdom of Heaven.
I guess she must have picked it up in the Umbrella Siege Academy.
She's also still fireproof, I guess, seeing as how she can just drive right through that firewall as if it was run by Norton Antivirus.
Everyone is fireproof in this, Barry. Remember that she even sets one of the vehicles on fire from the inside, even though she knew there were innocent survivors in them.
1 minute later.
Yeah, like Donnie's rug, she kind of flip-flopped about human life in this one. I mean, she tries to keep that one girl alive from the fan, yet has no problem dropping a fuck ton of rocks onto Claire and Doc. Truly the best kind of friend.
Razor, now!
Well, we've avoided the subject long enough. Let's talk about Dr. Marcus.
Yeah, let's get this over with.
Agreed.
So in this, when Dr. Marcus made the Red Queen, he modeled it after his little girl, Alicia, who had some kind of degenerative aging disease. When Marcus died, all his company shares went to his daughter, and she is now co-owner alongside Isaacs of Umbrella. She's also the old woman in the wheelchair.
You just can't wait for me to die, can you?
TikTok, Barry. You recapping for Joe or something?
It helps, not gonna lie.
Well, it turns out that the Alice we've been watching for all 6 fucking films has been a clone this entire fucking time. And Alicia Marcus is actually the original.
A clone.
All along!
This whole fucking series has more clones in it than all the Star Wars prequels put together.
Wait, I've seen this before. You mean the little girl that we've been seeing images of throughout the film is really just the old lady in some wheelchair that has that rapid aging defect? How is that not just fucking Evelyn from RE7?
Why does everyone hate me?
Oh fuck, he's right. A plot twist that Capcom must have known was in the works the whole time. And this twist is so fucking stupid. Especially when in the last film, it shows that the OG Alice was not a clone, but her fake ass kid was.
A clone. Yes, so you were.
That's real shitty to hear, but focus. So after Alice just drops the antivirus like it slipped out of her butterfinger hands, she was supposed to die. But the Red Queen explains that the antivirus only killed the T-virus inside of Alice and left the healthy cells alone.
Why am I still alive?
The antivirus only destroyed the T-virus within your body. It didn't harm the healthy cells. You are now free of infection.
So then she did have the virus inside of her, yet no powers?
I thought the T-virus gave her powers because she's the only one that the virus mutated with perfectly.
You were the only one to successfully bond with the T-virus.
That's the entire reason for like 3 of these films. And did the Red Queen tell her that the antivirus eradicates anything that the virus had infected?
If you release the antivirus, it will kill all organisms infected with the T-virus. You know what that means, don't you? For you. I know.
Yeah, but it wouldn't kill Alice, apparently. It was a lie from Alicia to see if Alice would actually sacrifice herself to do it.
You lied to me.
We had to know if you were willing to make the sacrifice, to give up your life for others.
What a fucking bitch! Humanity is literally about to go extinct. And this old worm from SpongeBob wants to actually just roll those dice, huh? And we're supposed to think she's the good guy in all of this? I mean, for fuck's sake, she's the one who okayed the OG Isaacs to just wipe out humanity in the first place, remember? There's no way something like this would have happened without her approval, since they love to constantly say that she owns 50% of the company.
Alicia Marcus, co-owner of the Umbrella Corporation.
I still own 50% of this company.
I was actually talking about that flying infected dragon thing at the end of the film. Why the fuck is that thing still roaming around if the antivirus wiped everything else out?
Who knows? We're fucking done with this shit, so I vote fucking F tier again. And it's mainly because of all the fucking retconning this movie does. There is literally no point in feeling anything for any character in this series since none of them, except Claire, ever really return.
I'm with you on that, Bear fucking F tier all the way.
This whole series reeked of shitty fanfic writing with changes to the lore and world building that Anderson made himself. It's as bad as the last seasons of GOT.
Well, let's do our quick lightning round and be done with this once and for all, but I'll start us out with this positive one, actually, which is Alice is sporting the fucking Hydra.
Umbrella slapping a logo on that fucking chainsaw is just so fucking dumb. Like, come on, first pharmaceuticals, then bullets, and now logging equipment? They must be a one-stop shop for everything.
Did you guys notice that the population on the sign for Raccoon City is a few 100,000 less than it was in the first film?
No, but I did notice that some fucking weirdo went up there and hung like 3 zombies for some twisted reason. Like, who had the time to do that? Was Claire's new family supposed to be some hardcore survival gang or something?
I actually hated that the Red Queen just gives Alice all of Alicia's childhood memories, just because Alice doesn't have any. Like, that's not how this shit works.
That's not how it works. That's not how any of this works.
You have to do a complete mind wipe before giving her someone else's memories. Otherwise, she's going to know that they aren't hers, rendering them pretty useless.
You have all of my memories, my experiences. Because I'm the clone.
Isaac's using Anderson's birthday again for the code.
Confirm security override 4365.
Oh yeah, speaking of Isaacs, his entire plan to wipe out humanity because of famine and lack of resources is just utterly ridiculous. These guys can clone humans with a 100% success rate and no drawbacks.
Well, except the fanatic thinking he was the OG.
Abomination!
True, but what I'm getting at is why not just have Umbrella clone animals and fruit and shit? Just do what Thanos should have done and double our resources. I mean, goddammit, they're using all that tech to clone Alice and then dump her like the defect she is.
And even with the human race somewhat saved at the end of this film, with only those mere 4,000 people left alive, I don't think that would matter anyways. Everything is dead, remember?
Lakes and rivers dried up, forests became deserts, and whole continents were reduced to nothing more than barren wastelands.
There's no food and most likely no water. Yeah, the zombies are gone now, but apparently there's still flyers out there the size of fucking 16-wheelers ready to snatch you. No way the world is saved.
Also, finally, when Alice is captured the first time, Isaac says that he's been killing her other clones.
You'd be most troublesome to me.
You and your sisters.
See, I thought that all of her clones were killed at the beginning of Aftermath. Hence why Wesker went through all the trouble to break her out in retribution and blah, blah, blah.
My God, it really is a dumpster fire.
Well, before we finish up, I just want to make one thing clear. In no way do I fault any of the actors in this. Throughout the series, it is shown that they did the best they could with what they had. Even Ian Glenn, straight from Game of Thrones, put his all into this.
Thank you.
And although I give her character shit, I do respect Mila for the dedication she put into it. I mean, for the first few films, she was doing her own fucking stunts. That's just dope as fuck in my book.
No, Cap, I can't deny that some of the things she does is cool looking.
Agreed, when it's not too over the top.
I just can't say the same for Anderson. His disregard for the source material is one thing, and having his wife be the object of obsession for everyone throughout the series is just sheer nepotism.
We're married.
But then I found out about what happened on set of the final chapter that tore it for me. But you can look that up on your own time, because that's it. We're done. We're fucking free.
Thank God.
Finally. Oh shit.
What the fuck, Saki? Why are you here?
Everything has a price, you idiots.
Ah shit, the fucking F tier.
That's right. Now earn it.
Fuck no.
Fucking shit, Barry. I knew it was too good to be true.
Come on, Saki, we haven't even watched that.
Well, there's an easy fix for that.
2 hours later.
Fuck.
Holy shit, that was bad.
Fuck!
Fuck you, Saki.
I thought the Anderson films were garbage, but this is so fucked.
Why does Capcom keep letting Constantin Films destroy their creations?
You can't keep getting away with it!
I don't know, Joe. This entire movie was just the biggest pile of garbage. So let's just jump right in and get it done.
Well, Bear, this whole film was nothing but two types of nostalgia bait. So much so that it felt like it would burst at the seams any moment. First, we have our member berries for everything 90s, like pagers, CD players, Nokia phones that played Snake, and even
rent a movie at Blockbuster.
But then we also have shot-for-shot scenes with the flipped-over Jeep in Zero, the truck driver smashing into the zombie in the 2 Make.
Don't forget that he eats that nasty-ass burger, too.
Right, thank you, Joe. And for some fucking reason, the motherfucking movie of the Ashford twins, like, what the fuck?
I agree. Not to mention that just smashing 2 different games with 2 different timelines does not make a coherent movie, no matter how much you try.
The whole environment was all wrong. Both the outside of the Spencer Mansion and the RPD foyer look green screened and fake as fuck. And the city itself doesn't even look like the city, but some small backwoods town.
Not only that, but they don't even call it Raccoon City. They just call it Raccoon.
Live in Raccoon. All the exits out of Raccoon have been blocked by Umbrella.
There's no way out of Raccoon by road.
It was once Umbrella started moving their operations out of Raccoon.
There's even some map that says the city of Raccoon. Like, what the fuck is this?
I'd also like to point out the town's complete reliance on Umbrella is troublesome. Now, don't get me wrong, Umbrella has always had this foothold in Raccoon City spanning from the games.
They're only the biggest taxpayers around here. They make most of these medicines right here. Homegrown in Raccoon City.
And to the films. But I never felt that the city itself would just die off if Umbrella packed up and left. Which they do in this, and is never really explained as to why. Not to mention that there are some scenes where people actually go out of their way to throw shade at it.
One might have nightmares heading back into that shit old town.
Well, the sooner they shut this whole town down, the better as far as I'm concerned.
Hey.
It's like the Raccoon City itself, was a character. One that's been just as important as all the others in the franchise, and this film made it become a smaller, poorer slum of its original self. A complete 180.
It's not the only one either, Don. All of these characters were just terrible reimaginings of what they were already established to be, doing that very same 180.
And the perfect segue into getting us really going. So let's start with whom I was actually really excited for, but she ended up being completely pointless. Lisa goddamn Trevor.
Goddamned is right, Bear, because they managed to make the skin she's draped in look more awful than it does in a game over 20 years old. I mean, it looks like it was made out of pizza dough with a doll's face on it.
Not that it matters what she's wearing, because they never explain it in the film. Not a single piece of dialogue is offered as to whose face that is, which is important to her backstory. Not just some stupid page in a shitty book that nobody can even read.
Her whole existence is supposed to be yet another nostalgia bait for fans, but placing her in the orphanage doesn't make sense. You need to explain why Umbrella allows her to wander the grounds uncontested, but like the skin she wears, it's never addressed.
But I guess they needed to explain how she's able to move around with those fucking keys. You know, the ones that are literally from the Resident Evil 2 Remake Collector's Edition, and that you can buy for $15 on Amazon.
If only Claire knew that those keys can also help out Sherry in the remake.
She's also not aggressive in any way unless you're a fucking licker. They could have really had this fascinating story with her, but fuck it. I guess Claire just fucking leaves her in the orphanage to die along with everyone else.
Yeah, everyone that's acquainted with Claire die off, huh? Like that squirrely looking motherfucker Ben.
Oh, fuck this guy. The dude's whole personality is literally that scene in Always Sunny with the conspiracy board.
Not to sound hypocritical, but this guy used an overabundance on the word fuck.
He's fucking fine. Of course he's not fucking okay, man. Look at him. Me. Fucking boy, man. No fucking way. Fuck. Yeah, good fucking luck. Man, Jesus fucking Christ, hurry up. Oh, fuck me. Jesus fucking Christ. Fucking God.
Almost as if all his lines were written for him by some jackass using AI.
That and this entire script.
No shit, especially the way Ben fucking dies. He knows what the zombies are because he explains it to Leon.
It's a virus that genetically modifies the DNA of a living cell, and it's turning these people into fucking weapons, man.
And the idiot swiped Leon's gun, but he won't just shoot the obvious zombie in the cell with him. He even looks at it so it's not like it sneaks up on him. The dude deserved to die.
No cap, at least in the remake. He had no chance when he died other than Leon being a dick.
Hey, you need this! Just get me the fuck out of here!
But did they explain why he was even in the cell in the first place? Because in the remake it was Irons who put him in there.
That's of course Irons sent you.
Irons? You mean Chief Irons? Is he still around?
Who cares? Hopefully he's somebody's dinner by now.
What do you mean by that?
He's the bastard that locked me in here.
I'm sure he had a good reason.
He did. I was about to blow the whistle on his dirty ass.
And even in the OG, he put himself in there for safety.
But I'm not about to leave this cell. Those zombies aren't the only things crawling around out there.
No, just that he.
I found out the truth.
But speaking of Irons, good lord is he yet another casualty in this. The first Irons was eerie and disturbed in the OG.
That's the mayor's daughter.
Sick and twisted in the remake.
Sherry, you come with me now, or say goodbye to Claire.
Okay, I'll go.
But in this, he's just a fucking wacky asshole that's super chummy with the other STARS members.
Okay, Chief, what's this all about?
Yeah, what's with the alarm?
Well, if you all shut the hell up for a second and listen, maybe you'll find out. Honestly, I don't know.
To be honest, I would think that's actually the creepiest version of him.
I couldn't figure this guy out at all. Does he actually give a fuck about people? Because he wants to find Bravo Team and even tries to help Leon and Claire escape towards the end. However, he also just tries to run away once the sirens start blaring.
I was amazed when he actually just throws the keys to Leon and runs away. Like, does he know what's going on? Or is he just a scared little coward? Because it's never explained.
Who's in charge now?
You are.
No, I'm a rookie, right?
Yeah, well, congratulations, rookie, on the promotion.
Neither is why this chief of police carries an unloaded revolver around. Like, seriously, what the fuck? What kind of cop carries an unloaded gun during a crisis?
Yeah, this version was written so bad that the only memorable thing about him is getting killed by that liquor, which, although I wanted to see him get fucked up by Birkin, I did see that killing him off screen, and then having his dead body land in front of Claire was a subtle nod to the OG.
Oh man, Birkin. Look, I really like Neil McDonough, and I think he did a great job in here. However, just like everyone else, he is also different than his OG counterpart, but only on one small issue.
He went to Tall Oaks University and proudly proclaims it.
He was apparently some kind of mentor to Chris Redfield, which saying out loud is just plain weird.
It's because he and his wife are loving parents to Sherry.
Oh, honey, you just had a bad dream.
Don, you know you can't talk about kids near Joe.
I had actually completely forgotten that Sherry was in this. But I don't give two shits if he's Father of the Year because I distinctly remember that he just has some kind of dissected zombie writhing on some table mere feet away from his wife and kid.
Joe. She watches both her mother and father get murdered by Wesker, followed by her picking up the gun herself. Pretty sure the cut-open zombie is the least of her worries after this night.
Yeah, like hearing her old man talking as a fucking mutated monster. Fucking laughing it up like the Joker.
And those bloodlines across his mouth didn't help either, making me wonder if they took inspiration from the popularity of the film, since it came out only 2 years before.
That's a stretch, guys. I don't believe that. But his final form was just the fucking worst.
Fucking tell me about it.
No fucking cap, absolutely. This fucking thing looks like if a roided out Venom slept with Reptile from the '95 Mortal Kombat and slapped Stellan Skarsgård's face on its stomach. And even with all that build up to something big, it still ends up doing nothing but throwing Claire around once before eating a rocket.
Isn't there a moment when he starts to taunt Chris?
Chris, come out and play.
But how does he even know Chris is there? Wesker killed him before Chris showed up, and he wasn't in the room when Birkin woke back up. Is he supposed to be omniscient, or does his dopey-looking ears help him with echolocation?
Fucking brutal, Joe. But we'll get into Chris later.
Good, because I want to tear into Wesker. Now, I don't know who the fuck thought it was a good idea to make the franchise's most iconic and badass villain into a laid-back fucking goofball, but I want to just have a chat with them.
This is ridiculous!
I just want to talk to him. I just want to talk to him.
You remember when I said that the Wesker in Extinction was what you ordered from Wish? Well, this guy is what happens when you take that product and water it down with zero creativity and millennial humor. A dude who's too busy balancing ketchup bottles and throwing footballs to be any kind of mastermind at all, let alone a real threat.
Somebody obviously didn't like the way their husband was portrayed in this.
Let him have it.
He's not even the captain of stars. He's just another member like the rest of them and even takes shit from Irons, when Wesker was probably the only man whom Irons actually feared.
Because I want you dressed in 5, all of you, and ready to fly because I want to know where the hell Bravo team is.
You're right, Don. And it's made even worse when he's the one hired by some kind of outside organization to steal the G-Virus and not Hunk.
Good. I don't want Hunk in this.
I mean, I guess they wanted Ada to be the mastermind in all of this, seeing as how she's most likely the one giving him directions. Fuck, he's just wandering the mansion like a kid with a strategy guide.
Holy shit, she was telling the truth.
And all because he just wants fucking money.
Jill, don't look at me like that. It's just money. It was just a way of getting out of this small town, dead-end life.
He's just too damn human to be the real Wesker. He pals around with the other STARS members. He's remorseful when killing the Birkins, and even tries to reassure Sherry.
I wouldn't have pulled the trigger, kid.
His end credit scene is particularly cringe.
You goddamn right it is.
He actually needs sunglasses because he can't see without them, like he's fucking Cyclops or something. What the fuck is that?
What happened to my eyes? I can't see.
It's a side effect. There will be others.
My glasses. I can't be seen without my glasses.
Kind of insulting, to be honest. Not to mention that Lily Gao comes in and gives just that same boring voice.
You're awake at last. That doesn't matter. One of the things we had to do to bring you back. Ada. My name is Ada Wong.
Careful, Joe. We don't need to rehash that shit again.
Fair enough.
Well, if Donnie's done.
I am.
Then we'll talk about Jill. Another character that is completely different from their OG.
You know why, right?
Don't you say a word.
Oh, please do.
Because she's apparently not the
master of unlocking.
Claire is.
You show up here, you break into my house. What kind of person can pick a lock like that? It's kind of impressive, but also, what the fuck?
Fucking coward.
But goddamn, does she like to fucking shoot her gun? She doesn't even care about who's in the line of fire.
Jesus, Valentine, you and that fucking gun!
Hey, at least she was sorry about killing Wesker.
Hey, no, we're gonna get you out of here.
No, Jill, I fucked up.
She would be, since this version apparently had fucking feelings for the guy. Like, seriously. There's a literal love triangle in this Resident Evil movie, and it doesn't fucking belong here.
I wouldn't go there. She's only got eyes for the big fella.
No! God, please, no! No!
All right, the whole Chris, Jill, Wesker thing. Well, that's one way to continue the bloodline.
Still pining after Jill, I see. Never gonna happen, bro.
She definitely could use some tact. If I recall correctly, she just randomly starts asking about the 2 worst ways that Richard dies in the games, right in front of Richard.
What would the worst way to die be? To be swallowed whole by a snake or eaten alive by a great white shark?
But we all know why, of course.
Hi, Mandy. Oh, hi, Mandy.
In fact, side note, why the fuck is Richard even there? Don't get me wrong, I am glad they omitted some characters like my girl Rebecca, but why even have Richard when you could have just used Barry?
A second late, you would have fit nicely into a sandwich.
And have a chance to watch him get killed off again? No fucking thank you.
Yeah, having Richard not even be a part of Bravo team was strange, but then again, I guess Bravo team was primarily just these 2 idiots in the diner scene, who it turns out is supposed to be captain of Bravo team, Enrico Marini, and volunteer chopper pilot, Kevin Dooley. What kind of Twilight Zone shit is this?
This must be what going mad feels like.
I guess Umbrella was cheaping out so much on this town that they only had enough money to employ half the actual stars team, but still had enough to hire the worst fucking rookie I've ever seen.
This Leon Kennedy is the absolute worst thing to happen. He's completely irredeemable. Not one scene that he's in is salvageable.
What the fuck are you doing here, Leon?
And I thought his transition from 4 to 6 was bad. But look what they did to my boy. First off, I'm just gonna say it. This motherfucker dead ass looks like Carlos. Even Irons mocks him about his fucking hair.
And get a haircut, you goddamn hippie.
Which is another shitty thing. So everybody in this fucking film is a complete dick to him. Wesker placing a ketchup bottle on him while he's asleep. Jill throwing that toy to wake him up.
Dooley ripping into him.
Leon S. Kennedy. What's the S stand for, stupid?
Irons screaming at him.
You said everyone into the briefing room, so here I am.
I didn't mean you, you moron. Not you, Leon, everyone else.
And also fucking Ben doing it too.
Oh man, Jesus fucking Christ.
All right, you know what? Just 1 second, please.
You're no Einstein, are you?
Even Claire has to lay into him because, and I can't believe I have to say this fucking idiot doesn't know shit about guns, and Claire needs to tell him what to do.
That's good, right? I think it's just, I think it's sort of jammed.
Here. Put this on. Get your shit together. You're not gonna make it through the night.
It's almost cartoonish how shitty Leon's written in this. He's fucking lazy, falling asleep on his first day on the job, and is so unaware of his own surroundings that a fucking truck explodes 20 yards away and he doesn't notice shit. And on top of that, he's so incompetent that not only did he shoot his own partner in the ass,
That you shot your partner in the ass during training, is that true?
You really shoot your own partner?
Yeah.
but this moron stands too close to Ben's cell and gets his gun swiped.
Jesus Christ. Hey, whoa, whoa. That's...
Open the goddamn door.
It's my gun.
I mean, I understand he's supposed to be a rookie, but even Rebecca wasn't near this incompetent.
I could shoot, you know.
But he does have one thing in common with her. This dude has to be saved in almost every fight he's in.
Let's just finish this shit up with the Redfields and be done with this whole shit show.
Well, besides the fact that Chris and Claire have been living in City of Raccoon since they were children, I guess that deep down, both of these two really don't get along.
Where were you? I haven't even heard from you in 5 years.
Boo-hoo! Boo-hoo-hoo!
Chris is far too trusting of Umbrella and Birkin, going so far as to think of him as a father.
It's been like a father. Now, I owe Birkin and Umbrella everything. They raised me, put me through school, the academy. They were there for me.
But to be honest, other than his infatuation of Jill, Chris isn't even the main character in this film and is mostly sidelined for his sister, Claire.
That's right, even Birkin says it to him towards the end.
How could you be so dumb when your sister's so smart?
Who the fuck wrote that line? It's atrocious.
It's not really surprising that Claire was the main protagonist above everyone else. She makes friends with Lisa at the beginning, was always suspicious of Umbrella from the start, and even saves everyone at some point. Hell, they even put her front and center on the movie poster.
That's true, but she also does a lot of questionable shit too. Like, for instance, when the trucker hits the zombie, Claire immediately tells him to disturb the crime scene.
Listen to me. We need something to wrap the body in, and then we're going to take it into town.
She breaks into Chris's house immediately and seems proud that she did.
How'd you get in?
Picked your lock?
You realize I'm a cop, right?
Yeah. You need better security.
And worst of all, she just leaves that kid in Chris's house with a full-blown zombie inside. The real Claire would never have done that.
Yeah. Of course. I'll help you.
I agree Claire in the remake is a trusting, kind person who would have put herself into harm's way to help that kid, but this Claire is really only looking out for herself. Case in point, she fucking leaves her brother alone at the orphanage.
After you ran away, William was the closest thing I had to family.
There's no love between these two, and I hate it. The Redfields had such a strong sibling bond that Chris would not only risk his life to infiltrate Rockford Island, but also fly to fucking Antarctica and fight a man with near godlike powers to save her. Things I know this man won't do. And with that, I give this movie an F.
Absolutely. Even though it primarily used all the settings and characters from the franchise, the way they handled them was just terrible. I mean, if they at least acted the way they should have, then I would have agreed to C tier.
I am with you both on this. They had all the components to do what they did for Apocalypse. Like I had said earlier, I mean, how fucking hard is it to use the source material? You had all the pieces in your hands, you were so close, and then you fucked it all up. It's amazing to me that to this day we actually have great live-action zombie films and TV shows, but we keep slipping when making one based on the grandfather of all zombie games.
All right, guys, that's it. We're done. All the live-action Resident Evils have been covered.
What about the one on?
Nope, not gonna happen. Like I said before, fuck Saki. We're done. Now, is there anything we may have forgotten to mention? Quick shit, though. I want to get out of here.
I know that the whole itchy tasty thing was supposed to be the hook in the trailers, but outside of the Keeper's Diary, it just doesn't work. Why is this woman just writing it randomly on her neighbor's window? In the Spencer Mansion, we get to feel a man fall into madness and disease. But in this, we watch Joe in a dress smear ketchup on some glass.
Fuck you.
Well, I just wanted to point out that the only resemblance to the OG Chris in this is when Claire tells him about the body they had hit. He berates her for an entire 2 seconds before channeling his true inner Chris Redfield.
Kind of hit this person, but they just got up and they walked away.
You hit someone? Holy shit, Claire, have you reported it?
I'm reporting it now.
You could be party to a hit and run. I don't have time for this.
Millions will die.
Oh, yeah, but...
I'm all right.
Sometimes I really love it when Chris doesn't care about the loss of innocent lives.
So at the end of this, Wesker is told that Raccoon City will be destroyed at 6 a.m. and we get several annoying time cards popping in periodically, like the fucking doomsday clock in Majora's Mask.
Ticking clock.
But then at the end, there's no nuclear missile or self-destruct. Nothing to burn and vaporize the remnants of a catastrophic virus off the planet. Instead, we get some kind of sinkhole that just makes both the entire town and mansion just fall into the earth. How in the fuck is that going to stop this virus? I'm pretty sure that a lot more creatures can survive an earthquake than a nuke.
No shit. What, did they spend all of their budget on the effects of Birkin and the liquor? Or was it all on that truck explosion that was so shitty it didn't even wake up Sleepy Leon? Because even the goddamn game endings were changed.
They did have one good explosion. When the helicopter crashes into the mansion. Which makes me wonder, did this guy seriously get chomped on inside the chopper, only to make it lift off the ground and fly it right into the building? Fucking Brad always finding some way to kill his comrades.
Fuck it, guys. We all know what the worst one is.
The entirety of the last hour and 45 minutes that I'm never going to get back?
Jill's sandwich.
It's Jill's sandwich now.
That's right.
Oh, God damn it.
Fucking garbage, that line.
Well, get ready for more, because it sounds like Sony wants to continue this train wreck and make a sequel. So save the dates, guys.
Look at this fucking tier. It's completely fucked.
No kidding. Incredibly depressing.
The highest film is literally the first Anderson one.
It was definitely the most entertaining, that's for sure. Wait, what about the CGI ones?
Oh, hell yes, some fucking hope for this tier at last.
Hope.
That's for another time, guys. I gotta get out of here before Saki comes in and straps us down for the Netflix series. Like we're in Clockwork Orange or something. I ain't ever going to watch that shit, so he can go fuck himself. See you guys.
Should we tell him that we already watched it?
No. It's funnier if we don't.
Bet.